But this video, you want to show me, how long is it?
2 minutes.
And what's it going to show me?
It'll show you Mr. Jackson on The Ellen Show. It'll show him on CNN. It'll show him interacting with Mr. Williams, interacting at schools, just to give you an idea of how this message is all across the country.
I think he's testified that more significantly. I mean, I'll accept the video as proof of that, further proof of that particular issue, but I think Mr. Jackson here has well articulated that issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I have no other questions for Mr. I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Your Honor, for allowing me the time to come and speak.
Oh, you're very welcome, young man. Any questions, Mr. Geary?
No, sir.
All right, young man, you can step down and seat in the gallery if you like.
Your Honor, I'd like to proffer the next person then.
Okay, who's your proffer?
Your Honor, she would like to be identified as Diamond, D-I-A-M-O-N-D. I have a video of her, a news video if you want to see it, but in the sake of time, but we have that if you want to see it. She was raised on Cleveland Avenue. She lost her child, her son, to gun violence. He was murdered. She heads a team to stop gun violence. She has partnered with Travion Martin's mother, Breonna Taylor's mother, and unfortunately countless other persons, known and unknown, who've lost family members to violence. And Mr. Jeffrey Williams, she would testify, is instrumental with trying to stop gun violence and trying to get people not to think that this is a video game and shooting is okay, and that everybody needs to speak about their controversies and their disputes and put down the guns. And she wanted that to be known, and there is a video if you want to see it, but otherwise that is my proffer.
I'll accept your proffer. That's fine, sir.
Your Honor, next is, he's a witness here, Mr. Kevin Liles, which is L-I-L-E-S, and he has known Mr. Williams since Mr. Williams has been just an adult, and we'd like him to come and talk about the factors for bond. He is with the record label, Your Honor, and he has come here to give testimony on behalf of Mr. Williams, and he flew here from, he was out of state. He lives in New York, but I don't know where he flew here from.
All right, where's Mr. Lyles?
He is right here, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lyles, good afternoon, sir. If you could please approach the witness stand. Once you get there, be so kind to turn and face Deputy Talton, the sworn as witness. Before you sit down, hold on.
Raise your right hand. You swear in front of the testimony in the court, truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you. All right, you take your seat. State and spell your first and last name.
Kevin Liles, Kevin-Liles.
Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing, Mr. Steele?
I'll let you know. Can you do me a favor and give the Honorable Court, educate the Honorable Court on who you are, your background? The Court may not be familiar.
Your Honor, I'm a 54-year-old father of four. I'm kind of emotional because how good this guy is. I have Morgan State University. I built a stadium in my old school. I have a street named after me. I have all kind of honorary doctorates. I employed probably 5,000 people. I was the president and CEO of Def Jam. I've been in this music called hip hop for 38 years. And for the life of me, I don't understand why I have to testify the good that hip hop has done around the world. I've also started a company with Jeffrey called Young Stoner Life. And I remember what he said to me. We're not just starting a company, we're gonna change some lives. And that's what he's done. And he's definitely changed mine.
Mr. Liles, how long have you known Mr. Williams?
Well, I was a fan for probably 12 years, but I personally got to know him over the last 10 years.
Okay. And have you signed, or your company signed Mr. Williams?
Yes, he signed to us, and I hate saying that he signed to us because it's my partner. But we have two deals. One deal is a deal for him as an artist, solo artist, and the other deal is for Young Stoner Life.
And I know this is personal, but financially, there's been testimony that if this trial, and I'm not saying the court would allow it, but if it doesn't take place for a year, there'd be over $1 million in expenses just for 24-hour security of police officers to ensure, off-duty police officers' second jobs to ensure Mr. Williams does not flee, does not get types of weapons, does not intimidate a witness, is not a danger to community or property in the community. Can he afford, from your personal knowledge and how much money he earns, can he afford that type of undertaking?
Jeffrey can afford it, and I can afford it, so it will be paid for.
And you are willing to back him as well?
I'm willing to back him personally and professionally.
Okay. Please explain, if you can, and discuss fully how your life intersected with Mr. Williams' life.
My job is to seek out talented people. And I think God brought us together in a very weird way. But I think we were meant to be together. Jeffrey is not just an artist. He's an influencer. He is a person that I think was put here to change the people around him. And he's so talented. He's creative, he's innovative, and he's fearless. He's a risk taker. And those kind of people, I call them change agents. I'm not signing just artists, I'm raising a young man. He looks at me as a father figure. He's not, like I said, we can't limit it to just his lyrics or his music. He's a young man, and he will be a contributing citizen to this world, and that's what I invest in. And I truly believe this whole thing that people are talking about, it's not him. The Jeffrey I know, give me clothes off his back. The Jeffrey I know, I'm giving my kids, he'll give me his kids. That's the Jeffrey I know.
You mentioned lyrics. There's been a lot of argument by the prosecution about the lyrics in songs. Can you explain, if you have the insight, what is selling in the rap industry dealing with the lyrics, and why are they being promoted, and why are people wanting it?
Your Honor, you've I don't know how old you are, but you know.
Older than you.
So, I've been fighting this battle for over 40 years. It's not new. And it's funny how we're the #1 music in the world now, and they want to bring this back up. Now, we don't argue about any other movies or other genres of music that talk about I ran them over in my truck, or I got drunk and I went and shot him. We don't bring those things to court. But quote unquote, our music, we've been on trial. And we constantly on trial about who we are, what we are, and why we're. And nobody gave us nothing. So we sit here on trial and we talk about lyrics. Lyrics, I don't understand the thing, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to keep fighting for it because I believe self-expression. And I believe we should protect black art. We should protect black art. And I'm on trial for lyrics. Come on, man.
With regards to Mr. Williams, and the court may not be familiar, where does he rank in, if there is such a ranking, in the music industry?
Objection, Judge, that's not relevant to anything.
Shows his employment status, it's part of the Ayala factors, and whether the record company is going to continue to back him.
I think you've already established that to the witness. He's considered needs to potentially be on alternative release.
Okay. You understand that Mr. Williams was charged in 2018 in DeKalb County with a offense of involving, he was riding in a car with 2 other people and there was a gun and a small amount of drugs in the car. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, and you know that case, it's still pending, believe it or not, but it went up to the appellate court. I don't know, are you familiar with all that?
Yes.
Everything was suppressed by the Honorable Superior Court judge in another county, and then the state appeal got reversed, and it's pending. You're
Yes.
aware about it?
Yes.
Okay. So Mr. Williams is actually on bond for that case.
Okay.
The allegation also entails the fact that when Mr. Williams was arrested at the home here in Atlanta, a search warrant was then executed at that home, and there were multiple firearms. One firearm is allegedly illegal. It turned into like a machine gun, and there was supposedly about 2 pounds of marijuana and some items in, looks like an energy drink, but it supposedly contains either Schedule 2, 3, or 4 drugs in it, codeine, supposedly. You familiar with that?
I read it.
Okay. Understanding all those facts, the DeKalb County case, current bond, and the search of the home, you're also aware that many other people were in that house at the time of the search warrant, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to ask you the following questions in addition to the fact that we are charging 2 counts in this current indictment. You're familiar with the RICO conspiracy and the gang
Yes.
count? Okay. On your oath, would you be willing to back with your own personal property and wealth, or as well as your own company's personal property and wealth, the bond for Mr. Williams if the Honorable Court wanted a high bond?
Objection, Judge, it's ask and answer. The witness actually has already stated that, and I very
Yeah, he already said
I very clearly heard the
he
gentleman
put up
say-
his own and his company's resources, so I'll stand the objection.
Would you be willing, okay, if it's the same question, just, I apologize, but I thought it's a different question. You have to understand that you would, if the court wanted to, you would lose that wealth if Mr. Williams violated condition of bond. I mean, it's not just go on bond with Mr. Williams in custody, you're released. The court could have you signed as a co-signer on that bond, and you would actually have a lien against your wealth if Mr. Williams violated condition of bond. Are you still willing to do that?
Like a son to me. Yes.
Okay. Without hesitation, obviously.
Without hesitation.
All right. Do you believe that if granted bond on your oath, Mr. Williams would intimidate any witness?
Nah.
Obstruct the administration of justice?
No.
Be a danger to the community or property in the community?
Not at all.
And a risk to commit a crime while out on bond?
No, not at all. He has too much respect for me and too much respect for the company that we're building and too many people that depend on him. It's not about Jeffrey. It's why it's about the family. It's about the community. You know, he understands. He's inspiring the world right now. There's a kid that he changes their life every day. I really believe that.
For the better?
For the better.
I have one last question for you. If this Honorable Court granted bond, but it was very, very restrictive. Mr. Williams is not coming out to studios. He's not doing videos. Speaking with him may be curtailed. Is your record label still willing to keep him as a vibrant member of SIN?
That's my partner.
Okay. And just for the court's edification, I think you just said, but Mr. Williams is not only an artist, he's an owner of the company, right?
He's a businessman. I told him hip-hop has given him a way to be an entrepreneur, a way to empower people, a way to educate people, and he has a responsibility. He knows that with this success comes responsibility, and we made a commitment to each other that we're going to do this for the rest of our life.
I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hold on one second. State, any
No
questions?
questions, Judge.
Okay, all right.
I appreciate it.
Then I'll release you. Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Liles, I should say, apologize. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I'd like to proffer the next person. He is on your Zoom. Thank you for letting him come in. And if I say anything wrong, I would just ask, with the court's permission, if Mr. Garfield, Garfield, Larmond, Larmond, Jr. would make sure that I am corrected, because I'm not trying to say anything wrong.
What's
May I-
Mr. Larman going to tell me?
Your Honor, he would say the following. He's a part of the management team for Mr. Jeffrey Lamar Williams II, also known as the performer Young Thug. Mr. Larman graduated from Georgia Southern University with a bachelor's degree in business marketing. In 2015, he met Mr. Jeffrey Williams in the Atlanta, Georgia area. At the time, Mr. Larman was pursuing a goal of his career of photography, but soon found himself receiving the opportunity to put his college degree to work on the management side. Despite his young age and lack of experience, Mr. Williams gave him the opportunity to learn how to manage and get involved in the music industry. But now moving forward to 2002, he would state that he has built a strong, well-rounded, and positive relationship with Mr. Williams, a relationship that he upholds with the utmost respect. As an individual in society, he would testify, Your Honor, that Mr. Williams is kind, well-spoken, intelligent, and a giver to the community. Not only does Mr. Williams influence millions of listeners around the world with his music, he does so with his actions as well. During the holidays, Mr. Williams ensures anonymously to give back to the community through toy drives in the city of Atlanta, donations to various organizations such as Planned Parenthood, to the Cancer Society, and others to support causes that affect people around the world. Just recently, in 2021, Mr. Williams, along with the record label, paid bonds for numerous inmates in the Fulton County jail system in an effort to reunite people with their families, show them no matter what, they've not been forgotten or lost, and Mr. Williams didn't know any of these people and didn't ask for anything from them. Mr. Williams is a family man. He has his parents, 6 children, brothers and sisters, all right here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. If Mr. Williams is not working and bringing his talents to the stage outside of the state, he spends every holiday and celebration in Atlanta with his family. Mr. Williams' family gathers together for dinners, Christmas celebrations, birthday celebrations, and they have recently purchased a home for future family gatherings not too far from this courthouse. Mr. Larman would tell this honorable court on his oath that there is no world where Mr. Williams would abandon his side of the family and children in order to avoid fighting this case. His family and the community are both large pillars in his life, and they both support Mr. Williams throughout every court date and every step of this upcoming trial. Mr. Williams has never been convicted of a crime. He has never missed a court date. And Mr. Larman has personally traveled the world with Mr. Williams. They have performed on every single continent, Your Honor, except Antarctica. Mr. Williams has performed in front of as many as 300,000 people. And he always returns to the state of Georgia with no issue. Mr. Larman's oath backs Mr. Williams for pretrial bond. Mr. Larman was also at the home at the time of Mr. Williams' arrest. He would testify, and it's on video, the surveillance video, that there were many other people in that home. Mr. Williams did not have a gun. Mr. Williams did not flee when the police came to the home. I received telephone calls from Mr. Larman. I received telephone call from Mr. Williams. I told Mr. Williams, no one's going to hurt you. Surrender peacefully to law enforcement. He asked me to please come to that area. I came to his home. Mr. Williams was then, after I got there, escorted out of the house. He did nothing wrong. He was actually drawing in the house. There are drugs and guns in that home, according to law enforcement. Mr. Williams, I've interviewed these people already. They hide those items from Mr. Williams. He can be drug tested. He's been drug tested, by the way, since 2018. Mr. Larman would testify to what I just said. If I am wrong, Mr. Larman, though, you have to correct me, because this honorable court takes that as your testimony.
Yeah, I will accept that, Mrs. Crawford, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right. Anything else?
Yes, sir. Your Honor, this is Jeff, which is Geoff, Ogunlesi, and he is in your courtroom.
What's he going to testify to?
Your Honor, he is very close with Mr. Williams. He's a very accomplished young man. He's very, very well known in the music industry. He will testify that in 2018, I received word that there was a warrant from DeKalb County for Mr. Williams' arrest. Mr. Williams was actually performing at that time in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mr. Williams, it was the first ever tour with a performer known as J. Cole, Your Honor. And when Mr. Williams was informed that there was a warrant from DeKalb County, he immediately left the tour, missing several dates of the tour and significant income. He turned himself voluntarily in, I was with him, Your Honor, to the sheriff in DeKalb County, and he would testify that Mr. Williams will comply with all conditions of bond, and he will not be a flight risk because Mr. Williams' commitment to the law, to the family, to his family, to his musical career, and his roots here in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and that if Mr. Williams did become a fugitive, he would end all of his contractual obligations, all of his money would end, and all of his royalties would end because he's, as a fugitive, nobody would deal with him. It would be harboring a fugitive. Mr. Ogunlesi, Your Honor, is the vice president, current vice president of A&R for 300 Entertainment and vice president of Young Stoner Life Records. It's a record label that was created by Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, by the way, Your Honor, is CEO of that record label. Mr. Ogunlesi has worked since the inception of the 300 Entertainment company in 2014, and for Young Stoner Life Records since that inception, since 2016. Young Stoner Life Records has become a hugely successful black-owned company, enjoying millions of records sold. In 2020, he also became Mr. Williams' personal manager and has been working on a one-on-one relationship with Mr. Williams since Mr. Williams' ascension to stardom. But he'll also tell you that his relationship transcends Mr. Williams as an artist and a record label or a business partner. They've developed a deep friendship. He would tell the court that Mr. Williams has achieved the following successes. He was 2017, Your Honor, MTV Music Video Awards, Best Editing. He won that. 2017 United Kingdom Music Video Award, Video of the Year, Best Urban Video, Best Editing Video. He won that. 2018 MTV Music Video Awards, his Video of the Year. That was a song called Havana with another great artist. They won that. 2018 American Music Awards, Collaboration of the Year, Video of the Year, as well as Favorite Pop and Rock Song. He won that. 2019, Mr. Williams won Grammy Awards for Song of the Year. In 2020, Soul Train Music Awards, Mr. Williams was the Best Collaboration as well as the Best Dance Performance. Won that. 2022 at the Grammy Awards, Album of the Year went to Mr. Williams. 2022 XXL Awards, Your Honor, Video of the Year, Mr. Williams was deemed the winner of that. Also in 2014, BET or Hip Hop Awards, Mr. Williams was nominated for Who Blew Up, Make You Look Award, and Best Banger Award. 2015 BET Awards, Your Honor, Coca-Cola Viewers Choice Award was nominated for Mr. Williams. 2017 United Kingdom Music Award, Vivo Must See Award. 2017 Music Video Awards, Best Production Designer in a Video, 2018 MTV Music Awards, Song.
Jack, at this time, this is nothing but repetitive.
It's pretty impressive to show who we're dealing with, Your Honor.
But you've established, I think, his ties and his depth, so I'll accept Mr. Ogensay's proffer and what he would testify to in its entirety.
Yes, of course. Ogunlesi. Your Honor, since flight is the most significant issue that this honorable court has to deal with for consideration of bond, as the cases that I've already referred to, Mr. Ogunglesie would also explain that Mr. Williams prioritizes his family. He's had opportunity after opportunity, even before he was well known. He had an opportunity in 2015 to work with Kanye West, Kanye West, W-E-S-T, to collaborate and work. It was a rare opportunity. Mr. Williams wanted to bring his family with him, his sister, his mother, and Mr. West stated no. And Mr. Williams then said he didn't want to hurt his sister's feelings, so he declined that opportunity. And that's who we are dealing with, Your Honor. He is not a risk to flee. And I appreciate the court saying that he has ties to the community, but also a risk to flee the jurisdiction of the court. Is that true, Mr. Ogunglesie? He's raising his hand to the court and said yes. Your Honor, Dr. Matthew Norman is here, I believe, in your courtroom. Okay, he is outside, Your Honor. Hopefully he will come in. And
Is Dr. Norman outside, Madam?
Judge, just a question. We were told 6 witnesses, about 8 witnesses ago, so I'm just curious how much we're going to repeat.
Yeah, Mr. Steele, I believe that we already have, I was clicking off that as well. By testimony or by proffer? This is number 6. Mr. Ogensay would be number 6.
I wasn't counting the proffers.
I'm counting those. Because you want me to
Then I
accept
have
this. You want me to accept it. You want me to accept his testimony. So.
Of course.
Yeah, so.
Well, I have 3 more witnesses or proffers, but I'd like to make them for the court's understanding.
What's this?
Mr. Williams, where he's being held, and he would, I'd ask him to educate the court what the conditions are for Mr. Williams and how that Dr. Norman is a very well-known psychiatrist, and how the studies show that the conditions that are being placed upon him, Mr. Williams is living under, are detrimental to his mental health, and they disintegrate people. And that's what Dr. Norman is here for.
Object, Judge, not relevant to the Ayala factors.
It's not, Mr. Steele, and I have great respect for Dr. Norman as well, having had him testify in court on for the state and for the defense on a number of matters. I don't believe that would be one of the bond factors that I would need to consider in this case.
Well, I'd like you, may I just make my statement for the record then? And I'll do it
Absolutely.
myself. Okay. And if I say anything wrong, I'm saying it's not wrong. Your Honor, currently Mr. Williams is held 22 out of 24 hours a day in a cell, except for when I or Mr. Adams or Ms. Hornsby go see him. That cell, according to Dr. Norman, will break a person's spirit.
But what's that? But that's not part of the bond factors. In prison, pretrial incarceration is viewed as being oppressive. It's not lost on the court. We don't jail people for shucks and giggles. That's why we have bond hearings, and the case law that you eloquently pointed out tells the trial courts of their responsibilities. But I don't need to hear any testimony on that. It's not lost on the court of what incarceration, subjects people to. So I don't think it's relevant for purposes of my bond consideration.
The reason I'd like the court to consider it is as follows. It was not requested by Mr. Williams, but he's treated differently than a typical pretrial detainee, and it's said for his protection. That's what the sheriff has told me, and the sheriff is always nothing but professional. The problem with that is it is detrimental. It is punishment, and we don't punish pretrial, and that's the cases I gave to the court, and that's why I thought Dr. Norman was important, because having an ill effect on a gentleman who's presumed innocent, and if they can't make conditions for him, I've made those conditions. I tried to put together to this honorable court conditions that would satisfy this honorable court that Mr. Williams will be a good person.
I hadn't made that decision yet, Mr. Steele.
No, I know.
But with all due respect to you and Dr. Norman, that's not something that I need to consider at this point in time. I think it's fair to assume that, and I don't get involved in our good sheriff's business as well, but, he and his colleagues and teammates have a methodology of what they do for the inmates that are there, depending upon what stage they're in. And, that's independent of my determination of bond. So I certainly, in terms of the bond and the factors for granting bond, it's not something I need to hear about. I'm going to take it at word that being in jail is problematic for most folks, and that he is presumed innocent, and that the issues of being granted bond or bail, I will take into account. Okay?
And then, Your Honor, we have in your courtroom Gara, which is G-A-R-A, Dallam, D-A-L-L-A-M. Your Honor, he's a bondsperson.